All right, so what we're going to be taking a look at is what's required to build an integration as the ISV, so behind the scenes, and then what it looks like in the experience for a customer or a merchant to install the integration and use it to transfer data from one place to another. And also to remap the data. Very important point to point out. So if we take a look here, I've got an EasyPost and a ShipBob demo for you. So if we take a look at the EasyPost, and right before we do hop in, a couple things to point out. The use case here is taking shipment data, so the estimated delivery time, when it actually got delivered, etc., remapping it into a unified structure, and then sending it over to a destination. So if you take a look here, this is what you would see as the ISV. You can click New Integration to build integrations from the connectors that we offer. If we take a look at this EasyPost one, so the workflow that comprises this integration is for the EasyPost shipment. You can title this whatever you'd like. If we take a look here, this is the final version that is currently available for customers or merchants to install. If we look, we're starting off with the EasyPost trigger. This is for when a tracker is updated. And since we're looking at delivered shipments to then send over all the data all at once, we have a conditional here where it's looking at the status from the tracker updated to see if currently for this demo it's pre-transit. This is because I can't simulate a delivered shipment in EasyPost. I can only simulate the pre-transit ones. So we're using this as our example. But in the real use case, you would change this out for delivered. And to show you how easy that is, we click Create a New Version. We can simply hop into this block, the if else condition, and just change this to delivered. If we take a step back and continue forward, we'll see we then have the mapper block. What we're doing is we're choosing the entire EasyPost trigger as the block that we want to remap. We're going to choose the variable from the block. So in this case, this one is ID, so the tracker ID, and we're naming it tracking ID. Also for date time, we're doing that as shipped time, and you can do all the different values that you need to rename or remap. Next, we are inserting the data into a table inside of Google BigQuery for this demo. If you take a look here, you can also remap the fields here and rename the values. But since not all of our connectors have this ability, some of them have the ability just to dump an entire payload. That is why we have the mapper block. So you could forego this with the Google BigQuery and just map it here, or you can use the mapper block for anything else. With that said, you'll notice a couple things. You'll notice these two blocks here are hidden. These are hidden from the users. So basically, if there was any kind of authentication that needed to be done here, for example, in this Google BigQuery one, I can hide this, and it would have the ISV authenticate, and it would use your credentials and your account. But since this is unchecked, it's going to have the end user, the merchant or customer, authenticate their EasyPost and the Google BigQuery with their credentials. You will also notice in this Google BigQuery one that we have, or I should say had, let me back up and go back in real quick. We have these set to configurable by user. The reason that is the user needs to choose the data set and the table that this is being populated to, whereas everything else is pre-chosen for them, so they don't need to touch these. We've mapped these for them. They just need to configure these, which you'll see here later on. All right, so that is the EasyPost shipment one. So again, you've got the trigger for when the tracker is updated. We have the conditional for the demos pre-transit. Otherwise, the status would be delivered. Remap all the values and rename them, and then insert it to Google BigQuery. If we hop out and we go look at ShipBob real quick, just to show you some differences. ShipBob does have a webhook for shipment delivered, so we don't need that if else, that conditional. So what we'll do is we'll use the shipment delivered ShipBob webhook, remap, and then insert to Google BigQuery. So for this exact demo, we're going to go ahead and go with the EasyPost. So again, this is what it looks like to build, maintain, and customize the different integrations as the ISV in the backend. we're now going to hop into what it looks like and experience it as a front-end user, as a customer or merchant. So here we've got the Google BigQuery on the right that we're using for this demo. You'll see that there's already 2 records in it. We're going to be adding a third. We'll refresh this just to make sure that there is no third right now. And we're still at 2. Right here, imagine this is your marketplace. This is where your customers or merchants would go to install integrations. So integrations page, marketplace, whatever you'd like to call it. This is where they will install those. So again, with the EasyPost one, I am now the merchant, the customer, and I also have my EasyPost account here. I'm going to go ahead and install this EasyPost integration. So when I click connect, it's going to pop up a modal. This is going to allow me to authenticate and configure any fields as the merchant or customer. So here, I'm going to authenticate my EasyPost. So I'm going to grab my API key. Next is Google BigQuery. And then we are all done with authentication. We're going to click proceed, and we now have to configure these configurable by user fields. So here I'm going to choose the data set and the table I want this data to go to. I already have a pre-configured schema table with titled EasyPost. So we're going to use that, finish the installation, and then we're done. So it's as simple as that. They just need to authenticate, configure any fields that are needed, and then they're set. All right, next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and simulate a tracker within EasyPost and go ahead and make sure that that reflects over with our BigQuery. So let's take a look here. All right, so we're going to create a new tracker with the tracking code 02, and then we'll see it come over. So I'm going to go ahead and initiate that now off screen. So I'm going to create that tracker. All right, if we refresh, go to preview, we'll refresh EasyPost, and we'll see we have the 02. The 02, and then we've got all the information that is to be sent over. All right, so as you see, it's that simple. They just come install the integration, and then everything works behind the scenes, which you have pre-configured for them and allow them to configure what is needed on the end user. Again, for example, the table, the data set that it's being sent to.